It today. We did. Hey y'all, Bearder Bros Golf Show. This is Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Welcome on in, y'all. Sorry for the late start. I was actually on time, but I was being the emotional support brother for Marcus. Golf pro shop life is I don't know. It always seems like a mess. There's more lows than there are highs for sure.
Hey, just let the record show, I was here at 8:55 and just realized he texted me and said, we gonna go live at 9:30. So
I
technically
had
I was here
communicated
hella early.
hella
Anyways,
early, but didn't read the message and communication. So no harm, no foul. We're probably going to have maybe a handful of new viewers. The Instagram has been popping here as of late. Just decided to repurpose some content. You know, Instagram's been real trash in the last 2 years. So I was like, let me repurpose some content from TikTok, which has actually been doing well for a while, and then yeah, I had a video blow up. So welcome in to the new folks who may be joining. We're here every single week introducing ourselves, you know, as the Bearded Bros Golf Show. We already did it off the top, but yeah, we do this every week. So come join us, lock in, hit that subscribe button. It's a good time. Sometimes we're serious. Sometimes we're just kind of, you know, back half of the year, going to just have some extra fun topics while we hit the main stuff. So today we have DP World Tour, LPGA, Old Man Tour, a little bit of talking about, you know, what golf has done for us, and we're gonna have a fun show here. So lock in. All right, bro. Let's start with the pro stuff, and then we'll get more into us. Right off the top, Tommy Fleetwood, bro. The momentum don't stop. Saw that man get his first PGA Tour victory not too long ago, and then let me see. Ah, hold on, real quick. Let me fix my mic, y'all. I think I know what it is, bro. Go ahead and talk about Tommy Fleetwood, and I'll come back.
yeah, so DP World Tour was in India, the inaugural year for it. The DP um the DP World India Championship or something like that. But it was a dope event. It was very streamlined, very well run. They had good crowd fanfare and everything like that. Yeah. And I felt like, again, it was just another course that kind of really just put in a perspective how you can maneuver through a course and not have all the yardage and not have to necessarily need to lengthen it out just to make it, kind of challenging and make sure that you don't always have your driver in your hand. I mean, you saw it, all the top guys pretty much had a driving iron or some type of 3 or 4 iron or, a fairway, a 5 wood or 3 wood at the most off the tee, even on par fives. I mean, it was a lot of dog leg rights, it was a lot of tight corners and stuff like that. Was I a fan of all the trees? No, not really. But it outlined the fairways that were tight as it was. And then the conditions were good. It wasn't like they were putting on bad greens. It wasn't like it was bad weather. It pretty much was pristine all the way around. I want to say the first day I was either off or had like a later time to come into work, so I was able to watch a lot of the first round coverage. But then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when my shifts were picking up over the weekend, I think I was like trying to be responsible. Wasn't really able to that catch it all the way live. I caught some, replay and then the beginning of the coverage because it was coming on right after the ladies went off for the LPGA. But the
Yeah.
coverage was good, and everything like that. So it was overall a great product. And Tommy Fleetwood really put the foot down on the back nine to really, kind of run away with it. Honestly,
Yeah.
missed a few putts on the back nine. Could have had like a 4 shot lead, really, and went even deeper into the 60s. But All in all, yeah, Tommy Fleetwood really did his thing, and then as we put in the show notes, he finally was able to live out Frankie's dreams as well, his son. I thought that was funny
Who
because
hadn't been
like
there? Yeah.
he hadn't been there for a win anywhere, so like it was kind of like he finally got a chance to run out on the green into his dad's arms like a trophy wife or something like that. It was hilarious.
Shut
And
up. Stop hating on the. There's nothing like the bond between a dad and a son. Stop hating, bro.
nobody was hating. I said it was a good thing. I said it was hilarious how he
You
described
know,
it.
is on the course design, I think like we've been conditioned so heavily to expect like these super long courses where you drivers mandatory that I saw an article about it saying, oh, the quirky layout. It's like, no, I mean, the designs could just be different, right? We don't have to have the same level of parkland course every single week that we see golf. There can be some
Exactly.
strategy to it. It doesn't have to be one way or no way. So it's just even weird that, and we talk about all the courses this year that get redesigns or in the last handful of years that have trees taken out. I mean, the trees
Yeah.
are put there for a reason. Every time I end up in a rough spot and it's like these two random trees in this crazy part of the course, and it's like I guess the designers knew what they were doing when they put these things together. So the removal of all the trees to me takes away all the imagination and the design that went into these courses in the first place. And we're taking away a lot of the elements. So we're seeing, in certain cases like Gil Hanse, these big design groups coming back and reimagining the original after all the changes that have happened over years in some of these courses.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, um, hold on. All right, let me turn myself down. Marcus is wild. All right, y'all. So yeah, Tommy getting the victory and being able to celebrate again the momentum going after winning on the PGA Tour, then U.S. The Ryder Cup, you know kerfuffle in the U.S. and now this one. So I have it as the poll up on the show. What do you think about momentum going forward? Do you think Tommy's able to keep this going into 2026? I legitimately see him playing with a lot of joy right now. Like he just looks happy to be playing golf. What do you think about that aspect of it?
Yeah. I mean, guys like Tommy Fleetwood are gonna be, I mean, pretty much inevitable. I mean, guys that have like an inordinate amount of optimism and positivity when they play. I mean, like he said it even after the win. He was like, even if wouldn't have gotten it done today, I just really know that I'm going to have many opportunities still going forward, hopefully in the future, to really chase and contend again. Just so, Frank will be able to see it more in person and stuff like that. That's who he was alluding to. But all in all, I mean, even just talking about himself, like for you to be that positive, you're definitely going to be trending the right way. And I definitely think that I don't know if he'll be able to contend with Rory at pretty much Rory's like home course in the playoffs and stuff, like the DP Abu Dhabi and stuff like that at the end of the year. The year end DP World Tour Championship and stuff like that. I don't know if he'll be able to really make a statement there, but 2026 should be a good year for him for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Just looks genuinely happy to be out there. Seems like he's in a really good place, able to shake that PGA Tour monkey off of his back, which was a heavy one. So close for so long, and finally able to get over the hump. So shout out to him. I think one thing to look out for, and you said this earlier on in the week, is now this. It seems like a quiet kind of we've known there's been a coalition between the PGA Tour and DP World Tour. We joke about the game has been global anyway when you look at it from that scope, but some very notable names at the tournament. You mentioned Rory already. We saw Tommy win. We had some other notable names out here. Let me just get to my list so I don't leave anybody off. Um, did I not write it? Yeah, there we go. Um, Vic Hovland, made an appearance. Shane Lowry, Ben Griffin, Brian Harman, slow playing Brian Harman, and Luke Donald were the big names. A lot of extracurricular activities after the rounds, and just looked like they were having a good time. A lot of activity on the socials, getting those guys featured in your traditional Indian wear. Just having like I think it was a Diwali night, so looked like a really good time, and that everybody was on board with kind of celebrating and showing themselves. What do you think about this kind of quiet push for a little bit of a global league as we, not to really bring them up, but just as a direct comparison to kind of compete with what Liv's having to offer as they quiet down essentially. I mean, we just haven't seen a lot from Liv, and they're in their whatever it's going to be 5 6 month break until they get restarted. So, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily quiet. I mean, I feel like the DP World Tour has been doing its thing. I feel like now with the PGA Tour backing them and giving them a little bit more bread with the pathway to the PGA, I feel like it gives them an opportunity to branch out even further. I think that's why we have the DP World India. And I think that's why, like, speaking of, branching out next week, they're in South Korea. So they're going to be playing a nice
Yeah,
course next week, back to back weeks, usual events that we don't normally see out of them before they take a week break and then get into their championship stuff. But yeah, I don't. The DP World Tour has always been a worldwide league, and I feel like now that they have a little bit more money, a little bit more expansion, I feel like it's an opportunity for them to branch out even more. PGA Tour definitely needs to do more. They can't always be stateside. They can't always be like, well, we went to Puerto Rico, we went to Bahamas.
right.
Like, yeah, them down near U. Well, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. The Bahamas is literally maybe 2 or 3 hours
It's
of flight off of
it,
Florida, so it might as well
not
be as
even that.
well.
Not even that. It's like literally
Ex-
like 30 minutes to an hour. It's the super short.
Exactly. So yeah, man, the PJ Tour could be doing a better job as always. Yes, it's still yes, it's still our favorite tour, and we're always gonna watch it. But you want things that you enjoy to always continue to get better and improve. So yeah, we
Yeah,
can be critical of it and still watch it and still be, not necessarily loyal to it, but definitely still consistent with our views. So yeah, I
right.
think PGA Tour needs to do a better job, but DP World Tour has been stunning on everybody for a long time. And then, they have been doing better. And I think that after the tour championship, they're probably gonna, do their little schedule drop, and they're probably gonna go to some different spots that we haven't seen again. Some events might fall off due to less popularity, but that's what a worldwide tour does. They branch out, they see what works, they see what was successful. So I don't see the DP World India going anywhere just based off the fanfare that
Mm-mm.
was there and the way that the course was lined, and the guys liked it. It was a
Yeah,
switch up. It's not like it was something that they play every week. So yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't be back. Tommy's gonna come back to defend. Shane Lowry had a good showing. Rory had a
right.
decent showing. I mean, Rory had a few, you know, ho hum rounds, but he was still up there competing. He still had a top 20 out of it or a top 15 out of it. So yeah, all the big
Yeah,
names did what they were supposed to do. Vic Hovland chipped in on Eagle, chipped in for Eagle on the last hole. So it was a lot
yeah,
of fun moments. And yeah, I think it was a very successful week.
absolutely. Um, so let's jump into just since we're talking about the DP World Tour, and we're later on in their season. I think they only have 4 events left now till they wrap it up. The kind of top 10 that gets a pass over to
Three,
the PGA Tour. Say that, oh, 3 events. Okay.
three, yeah. South
Um,
Korea, HBC,
and then there's two
HSBC
Dubai.
championship, and then yeah, World Tour Championship is the 13th.
Okay. So picture is getting a little more clear with that top 10 that's going to get that pass over. And now every year, all the guys that are eligible don't necessarily go over. The number one guy, and I think I screw up his last name. Is it Pang or Pinge? How do you say Marco, the English guy?
I think it's Pinch.
Okay, Pinge. So he's number one. Number two, technically in the DP World Tour standings. Rory's number one with the combined, majors, so those points count. And Rory has a pretty good lead on everybody there. But Marco definitely asserted himself. I think a question came up in the press conference last week after he won about where he'd be playing next week, whether it's going to be DP World Tour and or the PGA Tour. He said, as far as I know, I'm going to be playing on the PGA Tour next year, which is reassuring, right? We've talked about how it kind of feels like the DP World Tour is a feeder tour for the PGA Tour these days, but the same kind of big names that we've seen in the past, he's the biggest one this year. The one that people will probably becoming familiar with. He's getting a lot of pub on social media about his workouts, about how he's able to generate so much power. He's become kind of that new kind of sensation that people love talking about. Other than that, a lot of these other names that may or may not come over are interesting. Christopher Rattan, Adrian Sadier, John Perry. For some reason, Alex Noren is on the list. Haotong Lee. He's had a couple stints on the PGA Tour. Danny Brown, Jordan Smith, Martin Couvera, whatever, French guy, and Laurie Cantor, formerly of the Live. So interesting list, but not as star-studded as previous years. What do you think? About Pinge's impact possibly next year on the PGA Tour.
I mean, it's going to be growing pains. I don't think the first year would be all that successful. I mean, he's not really like I mean, to my knowledge, he hasn't come stateside for any events yet. It's not like
Right.
it's not like Alex Noren or Hao Tong Lee, who don't really have a PGA Tour card, but get sponsors exemptions and play like all field events and stuff like that, or a few of the like mid level events and stuff like that where they get exempted into. So I think Hao Tong Lee, he's spoken on it before. I think he's going to try to come over and play full time on the PGA Tour. Alex Noren, I know he will probably turn into a Tyrrell Hatton and try to just play as much golf as he can, as long as
A
he's
grinder.
healthy. I
Right.
mean,
He is a
literally,
grinder.
dude, he played 5 events and he's got 2,300 points. Now, granted, he did win that event in Switzerland, the Swiss Alps event. Um,
Right. Back to back weeks, he
so
won two on the DP World Tour.
he won the PGA BMW or whatever, or the BMW PGA Championship, the British one. He won that.
Right. And then a
Um,
couple. There was like the Omega European, then the Irish, and then he came back and won that BMW PGA.
yeah. I don't know. Christopher Christopher Rattan, he probably stays in Europe. Adrian Sadier, I don't know. He probably stays in Europe. I mean, Christopher Rattan played 29 events this year. He played 29 events, and he's probably playing next week, and he's probably playing both events in Dubai. So,
Right.
I mean, he's going to hit 30 out of the 44, 31 or 32 out of the 44 events. That's a pretty that's a pretty decent season. So I don't know if he necessarily needs to go over to the PGA Tour, feels obligated to, because I feel like he has a home, and I feel like just like what we always talk about with the DP World Tour. DP World Tour guys are different. They're a different breed. I mean, you got guys
Yeah.
like the Ross Fishers of the group. Hey, I know I played good enough to get over to the PGA, but do I really want to go? No, I got a home over here, and the
And I'm
money I make
fine
over
with the
here
money
is
that I'm making.
yeah, the money
Exactly.
that I make over here is good enough for what that I'm living through, and so no, I don't feel the need to do that. Now,
Right.
John Perry, I don't know. Daniel Brown, I don't know. Jordan Smith, I don't know. Keita Nakajima, he might be trying to chase the footsteps of Hideki. So he might try to jump up there. He moved 9 spots up to get to number 12. So he's really trending the right way. Maybe he keeps that
That
push
one's
going.
that one's weird because Nakajima is above. I don't know how to say it. Like Kuvara or Cantor are both below him spot wise, but they've got the PGA next to him. So I wonder if there's something that is keeping him off of the list. That one's kind of weird to me.
Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hmm, that's a good question. Maybe it's because he just moved up and they haven't updated their graphics yet. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's just like what you said. Maybe it might be in different events that he is not exempt to. So who knows? But they'll get that figured out. And like you said, we still got 3 more weeks of the DP World Tour officially before they get into their off season. So maybe he has another good week and officially, gets into that PGA Tour exempt status of those top 10 players. Who knows? Who knows, Roddy?
We'll see. We'll see here. Man, a lot of DP World Tour this week. I think if there's anything else we missed from there, nope, that is it. Other than we have another incident from the previously mentioned Brian Harman uh, burying a club in the ground because he hit it to 10 feet and not 3 feet. I'm so tired of the stupid
Just poor
behavior, and
taste.
it's just stupid. It's just bad.
Yeah. Just very
Um,
embarrassing to see it in live. I mean, just it's all televised, bro. Like you might not have been tops on the leaderboard, but they got coverage of you, bro. So why would you be
right,
doing this?
because you were one of those guys. You were one of the feature guys. But this
Yeah,
goes back to a few years ago there was a epidemic, I would say, of just dumb behavior on social media with guys, that are just social media stars, tearing up greens, doing silly stuff like that. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
at the end of the day, when you're in a position to influence, you have to be responsible with any platform that you're given. And I don't think this is any different from that. Just have some composure about yourself. Um, I don't know. It's just bizarre. And then for it to end up that close to the hole. I mean, he had a relatively makeable birdie putt back up the hill. Um, just silly, but worth mentioning that when guys fly off the rails like that and disrespect the game.
yeah, definitely. Very immature, very goofy. I mean, all the bad words.
I like goofy as a description. All right,
Yeah,
let's jump over to the LPGA. A week after we finally saw an LPGA star win an event, Gino Thidakun ends up winning. We move over, still on the Asian swing. Rough weather. I know Saturday when I tuned in, I mean the winds were up. I was surprised that they were able to go so low, um, even with the conditions. I don't even want to know what it would look like scoring wise had they had really tame conditions. Clearly, this is a ball striker's course where you could get up and down, you could make some scores, but surprising. Seyoung Kim's been in the conversation, but she's had a 5-year drought since her last LPGA victory. But for her to win this particular week, and then that brings her total up to 13, shows how prolific she was earlier in her career, but also shows how stiff the competition is on the LPGA that she can't even crack a win for 5 years because it's been so good. And this again adds to the totals of individual winners on the LPGA this year, bringing it back. So, what'd you think? How much of that did you get? I know you mentioned earlier that the ladies were coming on right before the DP World Tour guys. So, how much of that did you get to watch? Anything that popped out and surprised you about this week on the LPGA?
yeah. I mean, the girls usually play like a lower flight as it is, so they already have like a natural wind beater. The only thing that they really get up in the air is the driver because they play
Good
optimal
point.
launch. They play the smartest game possible. Like now the accuracy wasn't always there off the tee, but as far as coming into the greens and putting and stuff like that, it was the normal thing. Now say Young Kim plays like a low hook, so she's
Hmm.
always gonna be good in the wind, and she pretty much led from the front because she shot 62 on the front first day and was already in the double digits. So she did. She pretty much led from the front. I don't know if it was a wire to wire like Hannah Green did last year, but it was pretty much a dominating performance. It wasn't really ever in question after that front nine of the second day. I feel like she was
Right.
always in the coverage. She got to double digits. There was a bunch of women that were double digits, but then she got to like 14 or 15 or whatever, and then kind of took off. Especially on Saturday when it got super windy and it was blowing sideways pretty much the whole day. Little spat of rain and everything as well. Now the girls were probably reprieved to be playing on true greens. Not really, they rode as good as they actually looked on
Right.
TV this week. But yeah, overall, another good course. It was right off the coast, so it was definitely fun to see. And they even had that I don't know if it was their signature hole, but hole number 16 or something like that later on in the round. It was a par three. It literally takes you out to like a jut, like it literally takes you out to like a peninsula and then brings you back in to finish on 17, a par five, and then 18, which is like a gettable par four. So I felt like,
Yeah.
again, they played a great course. It set themselves up to score and pretty much put all the superiority of the get women's game on the forefront. So driving accuracy, playing in the tight greens, things like that, they played into their hands, and it made them look better as well as presenting a great golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know about the routing on some of these at professional tournaments. Oftentimes, the
Right, true.
regular play routing is so like when you've played somewhere and then you go and you're like, they play a completely different order, during a
Yeah.
professional tournament, whether it's for dramatics or, not wanting to end on a weird like a par three or something like that. So they'll switch it up. So yeah, absolutely presented very well. I know we're late. We're night owls. I'm on the other side of the world, so this is playing during the day for me. So I was able to wake up, watch the ladies in the morning at about 2 p.m. Because New Delhi, India was couple hours behind where I am, so it would come on around 2 p.m. noon their day. So it was like perfect watching for me this week with both
Yeah.
tours, both of the DP World Tour and LPGA. So I always wonder how much viewership they get, in the U.S. when they're playing across the ocean. That all depends on how much replay Golf Channel's willing to give them. I was looking at it today. It looks like they're not getting that much pub, but that kind of sucks. So we'll see. Maybe they're
They
building
got a
it
lot
up.
of replays.
They got some replay.
Hmm.
Again, I was able to watch it live, so I didn't have to rely on finding it later, as if I was in there in the states. So that makes sense. This week, again, continuing their 5 week straight in Asia, they're moving over to Korea to play in the International Crown. Lineups are very dodgy, and honestly, the website didn't do a good job of updating. Yeah, there's been news articles, and I've seen some blurbs from other people, but the actual International Crown still shows that Nelly Korda's showing up, as well as Patty T for Thailand. Both those players removed themselves due to injury and needing to heal. So we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting format. It's like 8 different teams from across the world. Um, I can say, I mean, the event's been very spotty because I think it went from like 2018, had COVID years, and then they resumed back in 2023. So this doesn't really necessarily have the same kind of pub as like a President's Cup. It's just been infrequent and we see it here and there. So it's always gonna it's gonna feel like a new experience, especially playing overseas. So I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. We'll see, we'll talk about the format after it all plays out. We talked about how badly the format for the Ryder Cup was this year in terms of how the U.S. could have set it up. So these team events are always interesting to break down after the fact to see how things played out, see how they could better be formatted. I know you're always a fan of team golf and things like that. So, what are your thoughts about the International Crown coming up for the ladies?
I said I'm a fan of match play. Team golf is
True.
it's okay.
It's got match play. It's got one element of match play, right? When they get to the end.
Yeah, I feel like they did the heavy hitters, the best kind of I don't know. I feel like they did what does it say? 8 countries will be seated in the two pools. I don't know. It
Yeah.
only has well, I guess it just has the past winners on there. So well, what are the countries? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
Okay, on their
let's
Wikipedia
see.
page, it says representing other countries not qualified, one player each from the Americas, Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa, Oceania regional. Um, seven the actually beginning in 2025. So again, they're changing it up. The field will consist of seven national teams of four players each, and one player from those other areas that I just mentioned. So we're gonna have like a mixed bag. That doesn't necessarily spell um, well for your event when you're having to kind of piecemeal randos from other countries into these teams. I'm not. We'll see, bro. I mean, it's not. I can't say I'm optimistic about it, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Let's see. Okay. So just based off let's see, recent articles off the news and video tab on the LPGA site from the schedule of the International Crown Day and overview. China has a team, there's a world team, there's a Swedish team, United States and Japan have the top seed. There's always going to be a Korean team. There's a Thai team. You always got to know
Yep.
Gino's going to be in there. There's probably an Australian team, and then there's probably maybe a British team, maybe like a
British
Great
Irish.
Britain. Yeah. So Britain, Ireland, Scotland, probably all of those will make up one team. But yeah, other than that, I mean that's like 6 teams right there. So I don't know where the other teams are. Maybe Spain, maybe
Oh,
Mexico,
you got
maybe
yeah,
Canada.
that's true. Even the LPGA website doesn't have a lot of great information on it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think this again. We are super fans of the LPGA. We talk about how well the ladies represent. The games are there. We feel like it's one of the most watchable products on TV from a golf perspective. But they're kind of in the midst of a leadership change. Like I think their commissioner left last year. Probably have a new one figuring it out, trying to figure out the logistics of things. There was a lot of criticism about the Solheim Cup last year, and just logistical things that could be done better. And I think this is one of those where if you have a chance to feature some of the best players, seeing featuring countries that are dominating golf right now, at least update the website a little bit better. I mean, partner, this is event clearly the it's Hanwha Life Plus International Crown. Clearly the LPGA isn't putting it on, but there's some level of involvement. I mean, keep your information fresh. It's just kind of weird how they have it set up. It's just not updated frequently. So again, we'll see. I mean, on the website currently right now, and on their confirmed players, again, it's moving super fast. Anyway, it's just a badly communicated event. So we shall see. We'll see
Yeah,
in real
this
time.
this is not one of their best showings. I feel like they could have had a little
No.
bit. Yeah, but I just looked up Hanwha, and boy, they got some money. They have shipbuilding, a baseball team, um, sales, vision, like Q sales, cameras, renewable energy. I mean, these guys is everywhere. They in the field, brother. So yeah, hopefully they put on a good product and are getting
Yeah.
them names, getting themselves in the game of golf, and maybe we can see them
Okay.
around doing some other stuff.
So
Anyways,
confirmed it. So we have USA, Japan, Korea, Australia, Thailand, Sweden, the world
yep,
team, and
yep,
China. Let's hit the last. We kind of know what to expect from those first five. So let's hit Sweden. So we have Maya Stark,
yeah,
Sackstrom, Madeline Sackstrom, Ingrid Lindblad, and Lynn Grant. No
Lynn
surprises
Grant,
there.
yeah,
World team has Lydia Ko, Charlie Hull, Brooke Henderson, and Wei Ling Su. Interesting.
okay,
And then China, we have Ronnie Yin, Yan Lu, Wei Wei Zhang, and Rishun Li. The
okay,
not exactly like super headliners other than Ronnie Yin for China. So it'll be interesting, man. I mean, competition is all we want. So as long as the golf is good, I could care less about the names. Just gives us some new people to learn. Maybe this catapults somebody's career. They catch a little bit of a heater and go back and finish out the LPGA season strong. Who the hell knows? So we shall see.
yeah,
Eyes will be tuned in. All right, let's keep it rolling. Old Men Tour, quick mention. I turned it on late last night, late for me at least, and Ernie Els went into the final round with the two-shot lead. I think I turned it off around midway through the round. He was still up by two through like 9, 10 holes. I wake up to find out that he got clipped by Justin Leonard with an eagle on 18. Ernie Els only able to par the hole. It looks like most people had a birdie on that hole of 18. But again, Justin Leonard coming in clutch, wins by a stroke with an eagle on the final hole to get Ernie Els. And I think it also indicative because when I was seeing Ernie Els as the lead, I'm like, it doesn't feel like he wins that often on the PGA Tour Champions. But I went back and I'm like, he's got to win pretty recently. Just plays very often, always in contention.
yeah,
But also just shows how much we haven't been paying attention to the old man tour. It's just we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Saw another content creator that you share with me on like TikTok saying that it just needs to go away. And I don't want to eliminate um, any kind of golf that we can watch at some point in time because it's like there will be weeks where you're locked in or the majors actually matter. They're going to have a chance to have a little bit of a revival with Tiger
yeah,
joining when he stops having injuries. So I don't know. It's like they're holding on by a thread, and maybe they get 2, 3, 5 good years out of Tiger, see him revitalized. Wanting to be a part of competition, but otherwise the outlook is so bleak for them.
yeah. This is kind of honestly, it really just feels like the pension plan for the PGA. Like, hey, like,
Right.
yeah, just you can ride in a car, you can go play over there. We already, we sent some money to your account. So if you win, cool. We gonna send you some money from like the sponsor winnings, but like we already transfer you some bread. So, just go out there and have some fun, bro. Like you'll be okay. And we'll see you
Yeah.
next week,
Right.
Because
So this week
they're in
they
the
go
playoffs,
ahead.
bro. They're in playoffs.
They are. They are. But you don't really lock in that way. I mean, the fields are always kind of limited. I think they had 64 in the field this week. And the only reason I know that because I was looking for Tim O'Neill because he had posted something like he was like ready to go or And I'm like, oh, is he in competition this week? Like in terms of like, is he actually fighting for a spot? No, man was 64 out of 64, plus four when I looked at his kind of midway through his round on Sunday. So yeah, man, the fields
Well,
aren't typically that big anyway. They are, like you said, continuing the playoffs. They're in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'm sure they're disappointed that John Daly won't be able to play since I'm sure he is not qualified for their playoff events at this stage. Probably would have been a big draw for Arkansas. But they roll on with the Simmons Bank Championship. And I
what?
think yeah, they have a couple of events left in their season as well.
Yeah, no. That's the schedule dumb. You see the schedule? Schedule. No, for real. They're playing at Pleasant Valley Country Club this this week. Is it this week? Yeah, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday, and then they don't play again until the 13th. Like, hey, look, excuse me, but get that shit over with, bro. Like, bro, you got me messed up, bro.
But they literally are out there most weeks, which is crazy. I mean, they play a lot of events for the Old Man Tour, but yeah, like you said, the schedule is a bit of a struggle. And then so like the last event of the
Uh,
year, they're
that's
finishing. I mean,
hilarious.
really, there's like this Skechers World Champions, and it's like more of a charity event.
Right.
Um, yeah, man. Eh,
That's hilarious though, because that is so old. That is so old man coded. Like, hey, look, y'all need some orthopedic shoes. Here, let's let Skechers support this
sure.
event and get them a title on this thing.
I
Oh
know,
my
bro.
god.
I've been it's either Skechers or Echo. I stopped by an Echo store here in Bangkok, Thailand, and I was like,
Yeah,
they were really trying to sell them damn shoes. I mean, he gave me, the it's funny in Thailand, you'll have the local price and you'll have the kind of foreigner price. Homeboy gave me the
yeah,
straight local price, but I was like, there was nothing that I would have put on my feet. Echo used to kind of be that sneaky good brand, but those little brown leather ones that they used to put out pretty frequently that Fred Couples would
yeah.
wear. I I just don't see those anymore. They're trying
I
to
mean,
like update, go gray leather, but it just
yeah.
wasn't that good. It just yeah
I mean, yeah. The shoes is probably still comfortable. It's just they not swaggy at all, bro. Like I don't.
no.
I'm just yeah, like I said, I'm just
Very
not
very
seeing it,
niche.
brother. Yeah,
No.
I'm not seeing it.
Uh, let's get into the build your bag. We'll get more technical. I don't know how this is going to show up on full screen, but we'll pull this up. Just saw this from another brand on, excuse me, on Instagram. Thought I'd clip it and talk about it. It was interesting because we hadn't talked about a what's in the bag for a while. They've been kind of lame. We've been seeing a lot of people that we've either done in the past or kind of brand affiliates that there's not much variation in their bag. So I just thought this was cool just to talk about some shaft stuff. Clearly, there's stuff that we have in our kind of bag, so we have a preference. But just curious what you thought. Let me go back up. That this again, the formatting was weird when I tried to clip it. So it talks about driver and wood shafts, iron shafts, wedges, and putter shafts. I want to work from the bottom up a little bit just to play with this. I've never been very particular about the shafts in putters. I know when you were fitting, you talked about this a little bit more, and you're more in tune with like the putter tech. So, of the four that are on our screen here, which I think this will probably show up better on a computer than a phone, but we have the LA Golf, the BGT Stability Tour, Mitsubishi Diamana, and the Aqua Sync. What do you think about these putter shafts? What do you think is the advantage of customizing your putter shaft versus just going with what comes off the rack.
I think it also, I mean, it really just depends on your putting stroke and what you are trying to accomplish. It also really depends upon where you're playing. Unfortunately, some people aren't going to be playing on top-notch greens to where this would really affect their game as much as some others would. Like, if, for instance, if we're playing just, in Houston, if we're playing at Memorial Park. Memorial Park has great greens. Even though it's a local course, you could still use them as an example. Their greens are probably rolling at 11 and a half, 11, pretty much day in and day out. Something like that and above, you would need something that's going to be a lot more consistent and stable. I was looking up the LA Golf Shaft. It's a little bit on the stiff, boardy side for me. I mean,
Okay.
it's like a heavier putter, a heavier putter shaft. So it's really gonna take any of the bend and flex out. So it's to me, it's more kind of designed for a center shafted putter. It's
Do
really
you think it's for
designed for
people who
your
just? I was gonna say for the profile of somebody who would want an LA gap in an LA golf shaft, somebody who doesn't play with feel very often, very much. That it's just that one of the like a bad putter would typically, I
no,
guess.
no, no, no.
Okay.
It's more technical. I would
Okay.
say if you're not as talented but play on good greens, I would say you should probably get with a stability putter. Stability putter
Mm,
works more with what you have going on. So like it's softer as far as like your transition goes. So it really works with how you are taking the stroke back. So like Michael has a stability putter, a stability
hmm.
shaft in his putter, and it's definitely softer than I expected it to be, especially for a $300 shaft. But that thing definitely kind of has like what I would say AI tech. So it kind of really is it kind of really bounces off what you have going on. The LA Golf Shaft is more just a stiff, boardy shaft that's gonna like help you stay stable. The Diamana is kind of along that same line, and then the I don't know what this Okra sink shaft is. Then KBS has a putter shaft too. I
Yeah.
was actually looking into KBS, but the Scotty Cameron I have has a special diameter on its putter head to where it's a
Very
390 instead of
very proprietary to keep it locked into
yeah,
what they want you to have.
instead of yeah, exactly. So there's definitely smaller companies that hold that diameter, but as far as like your universal, it's just like an iron shaft or a wedge shaft. 355 or 370 is the name of the game, and so there's a lot more, universally widespread on that diameter. But the one I
Yeah.
have now is definitely good. But yeah, I'm always looking for something that might be a little bit more stable that I could find in 390. But yeah, I would say the stability shaft is probably the overall you're gonna get the best value out of it, even if it is $300, because the LA Golf putter shaft I
Oh
think
yeah.
is
I see build outs with the LA golf shaft, which typically I don't know. People always seem to or tend to pair them up with like the lab putters. So I'm seeing like $1,000, $1,200 putter build outs, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like that shit would have to
easily
like walk. That would have to walk putts in the hole for me to spend that much. Because to me, I feel like it's the player, not the especially on the greens. Like if you can't read, there's so many different factors with pace, reading the lines, grain, all these different things that come into being able to be a decent putter. That spending $1,200 for a putter just never makes logical sense to me. Hell, I used when I first started playing, putting was one of the first things that I learned and became decent at in the game of golf, and that was with the Ram putter from some I mean, I think it's whatever that defunct uh, sporting goods store that's no longer with us. But yeah, I was putting with a Ram mallet, and I was just fine making putts. It was the first part of the game that I was able to master. So I don't know. To me, it's more about the equipment than the skill side of it. But
You mean it's more about the user?
for
But I
flipping,
mean
flipping, yeah,
but that's what I'm saying though. That you pay the money if you don't have that skill, or if you don't have that, that acumen. That is a cheat code to help you out. That's why people play lab golf putters now. It's a cheat code.
yeah,
The face stays stable. It doesn't move around. You don't have to worry about if my wrist breaks down because the face is still going to stay square to where I'm aiming it. So yeah, it's just a cheat code.
interesting. Apparently, labs are getting stolen off of golf courses. It's I don't know. I guess they're hot commodities, but the fact that they've gone to private equity, I feel like they're going to just kind of flood the market, and they're not going to be as rare. As long as I guess people can find that DF3, that kind of classic version that JJ Spawn rocks with, and they'll be fine. But apparently, these have been one of the most stolen golf items as of late. I just saw a little somebody's post about that the other day. Let's
Yeah,
move into the wedges and irons. I'm pretty simple. I mean, I've played Dynamic Gold. That was one of the first couple of shafts that we started off with. Um, I don't like the feel for any Dynamic Gold, especially the ones that we
yeah.
were playing. But if, even in fittings, I don't get the feel. Even in lighter weights for Dynamic Gold, it is just like a workout. I am a KBS through and through. I've even had different, wedge shafts that I've tried, but the KBS just feels the best in any iron and wedge setup. I love it. I mean, I know even like the Project X are a little bit stiffer, which it is true. It's a True Temper product as well. Project X and Dynamic Gold. They both come from True Temper. And I
Yeah.
think they have similar feels. I have never tried the NS Pro. I don't even think I've had one in a fitting um, being considered. I just don't know how readily these, places, especially like a smaller fitting shop, how readily they carry NS Pro shafts. So, what are your thoughts on? Let's talk wedges first, and your preference.
Um, yeah, I mean, I've had S400s on my shafts for pretty much like my last two wedge shafts, and then I use my pitching wedge as like an iron. So that always goes with like an iron
Mm-hmm.
shaft. So my previous set, it was the S300s from True Temper. As you mentioned, they're just, they're not very good. Let's just put it that way. Um,
It's not a good shaft. It's just
yeah, I mean,
not.
if we're talking out of these options, I would say the Onyx Wedge is the closest to what I've already been playing. So I feel like I just really know what I'm getting out of that. But I do want to branch out and try a KBS wedge shaft, the 610 wedge. So I might, just buy one and put it on my 58, which is my most used club anyway. So I might as well put it on something that I know I'm going to use. And if I don't end up liking it, then I'll still have what I have a SM10 58, and it
I was gonna say, what's your
is
next one after your 58?
I go for 45, 50, 54, 58 with my wedges. My 50 and 54 SM9s, they're both um, my 50 is an F grind because pretty much just do full shots or like shots into the wind. So like punch shots and stuff like that. I don't use it around the green. My 54, I have started to try to branch out and use it around the greens more. But I
Okay.
mean,
I was gonna
as
ask,
ride,
is that your most common? Is that your most least used wedge? Your 54?
no, I use my 54 a lot in full shots. It's like
Okay.
I can throttle it down or I can, get a little bit more out of it. That's kind of like my. I don't always want to full swing my 58. My 58. If I absolutely wanted to, I could get 105 out of it. I try not to ever swing it that hard though. So my
Right.
54 is anywhere from my 100-yard club to my 115 club. And if it's like
Yeah.
115 to 130, that's my my 50-degree club. So I use my
I've been using my.
54
Go ahead.
I use my 54 on my full shots a lot. So
Yeah.
I have a S400 in that right now, but I think that would be kind of like something that I would want to try my 610 in as well. But currently, my SM10 has a C taper shaft in it, which is the boardiest KBS shaft that they offer. It's low flight, low spin, so it's kind of similar to the 610 wedge shaft or a wedge shaft. It's just a little bit stiffer because it's like normally predicated for your like full iron shots and stuff like that. So I like it
Yeah.
actually, but like I said, I want to try the 610.
Yeah. I've been using my 54 a lot more. Like I don't like 54 out of the excuse me, 58 out of the fairway at all anymore. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just the softer conditions that I've been playing with and yeah, no, I'm not catching,
What is your
I'm
bounce?
hitting down. It's like 10, 8 or 10. So I've noticed this, like we're in rainy season where I currently am. So it pretty much has been raining every day um, for a couple months. At some point in time during the day, there will be moisture coming out of the sky. A couple weeks ago, we had a couple decently kind of light days that around the greens, the 58 was legit. I mean, it was like firm. Bounce was working perfectly. I had three chip ins, which is like my personal high. Four birds right off the green, able to read the line, execute, bounce work perfectly. However, in the fairways, they are very soft. It's not like Texas. 58 in Texas, my current setup would have been perfect. So I might be looking um, for a new 58, new wedge setup as things move along, just to have some alternatives. But 54 has been my go to, especially for like full shots. Anywhere where I can ratchet that down and go halfway or three quarter and go from an 80-yard shot all the way up to like 105, 110 if I pushed it. If I kind of de-lofted and I can really get some yardage out of it, especially love playing it in kind of windy conditions as well. But 54 has been my go-to as of late out of the fairway. Anything more than 60 yards. 58 just has been digging in. And something, I don't know, it just hadn't felt very comfortable as of late. So I was curious how you used your 54. Um, I know we've talked about the wedges. I still love KBS and an iron. Like I have never wanted to try anything else. I've tried multiple like KBS shafts. A couple of years ago when I got my clubs fitted, my irons, there was a shortage of production level shafts out there, so I had to like try several different versions of KBS, and all of them had a similar feel for me. You're which one did you play in your iron? C taper,
The money taper.
money taper. So those were just not available when I got fit.
Yeah.
The production was not there. I ended up with like a tour flight, which is probably cool. It's cool for me because it keeps it low on the low irons and mid irons, and then gives you a little bit of height in the high loft, your low lofted iron. So it's been a good fit, but every one that I tried until we figured out which one we could actually get in a club felt great. Like it was hard finding a bad shaft from KBS. So I'm stuck on their product. What are your thoughts on them? And have you ever swung? I'm just curious. Have you ever swung a Project X?
Yeah, I've swung those options. Um I don't when I did my like kind of like synopsis or whatever, I feel like the KBS tour was not for me. Like I needed more spin, so that's why I'm in the money taper right now. Um, and I felt like it was still like a mid launch. It wasn't too high launching. Um, I mean, honestly though, I feel like if I was really in shape or like really at the top of my game, I feel like C taper would probably be the best option for me out of KBS. Um,
Hmm.
but I like the Project X. I don't know. It never really has been good for my game. And I've tried them, everything from 105 to 115 in a Project X, and that's the rifle shaft. I mean, that
Yeah,
was the LZ, the loading zone, all of it. I've tried pretty much all of them, and it
no
just
bueno.
didn't really no, but the NS Modus Pro was definitely pretty good. It felt the best. Like I felt like I could feel the head of the club pretty well up at the top of the swing. I felt like a 120 NS Modus was a lot. I don't know. I felt like I could feel the head of the club a lot more than I could with the KBS money taper at the moment, which is crazy
Hmm.
because like I like my I like my 120 money tapers, but if I had it to do it all over again, I honestly probably would have got the heavier shaft. I probably would have got a stiff plus in 125 or 130 with the X stiff. But that's because I swing harder right now. Like I have
Mm.
a shorter back swing, like a three-quarter back swing, and then I swing
So you're
more
you're
committed
loading pretty
instead
hard.
of yeah, instead of, kind of my easy greasy just because I'm a big guy. So I feel like my club head speed has picked back up and everything like that. But yeah, so KBS would be number one. The NS Modus would be number two out of the irons.
Okay. Um, Last but not least, drivers woods. I am for me a Tensei Mitsubishi Tensei guy. I have two different. I have two oranges and a blue in my three wood. So my driver has the orange, my hybrid has the orange, and for different reasons. And I've noticed a lot of professionals are going with the blue in their three woods in particular produces enough spin to control the three wood. I like having some spin in my three wood versus just this low spin demon. Like I want to be able to control it, and I love it. I've been playing it for like the last hell. Go back. I pulled that out of my Nike three wood, so that shows you how long I have been playing this version of it. And on
Yeah.
the like when it put on a monitor, it's still able to keep up with what I need and his fit. I've talked about this several times that I've played around with possibly going to the white in my driver shaft to get a few more miles per hour, but um, that's not until I consistently do the things that I need to do with speed training, which I said I did not do at all this past year. Usually in the off season, especially when I was in Texas for a couple months, I would get into speed training usually in December and January and kind of be ready for February when things went full back, to playing every weekend. And I
Yeah.
just haven't done that in a while. So I don't want to like put myself in a position where I get that super light shaft in the white and it's just too much, too light. It's not enough spin. So I don't know, but I'm a Tensei fan. I've tried the Ventus and it's cool. It's just not the same consistency level that I'm used to from a driver shaft.
Yeah. I mean, the only way you get the Venice is if you're getting the Velocore. And the only way you're getting a Velocore is if you can get it for free. Because the upcharge is still $300 for that. And I don't feel like it's
So
worth it
it's
for that.
like base shaft 300 and then Velocore another 300.
No, the Venice, I mean, well, yeah, if you're buying it outright, but I don't think it's that expensive for just like a regular Venice. The Venice is
Okay.
comes stock in a lot of tailor-made stuff, but the
Yeah.
Velocore is the upcharge, and you can pretty much get that through, you can pretty much get that on any TaylorMade club. And I don't know, maybe now it's starting to venture out and you can start getting it on other, OEMs. But
OEMs.
as far
Yeah.
as I know, Velocore Plus is strictly for like TaylorMade and stuff like that. But I feel
Hmm.
like it works out for TaylorMade because TaylorMade has such light, whimsical heads and they're like driver and woods and stuff like that to where you need a stiffer, shaft for their clubs. But
A
pretty
little bit
much,
of not offset, but counterbalance. How light the head
yeah,
is.
yeah. So for me, um, I was using a graphic design Toure DDI in my Sim Max, and it was just way too light with a light head and I was just popping it up. The DI is like if you're honestly if you have like an 8-degree driver or something like that, then you can get away with it because it's truly like a high launch, low spin shaft. So it was good when you could really get a hold of it, but I don't think it was consistent enough for me. I really started feeling in control of my driver more times than not when I went to the hazardous black, which is a
Mm.
low spin, low launch driver, but I play a 10-degree driver. And I don't ever see myself going anything other than 10. I feel like 9, I feel like I'm shooting it into the ground and I feel like because I pretty much,
Interesting.
yeah, I pretty much zero out on my driver. I don't swing up. My brain doesn't react. It's not smart enough to do that. So I'm kind of like a zero guy with that. So the hazardous black has really took my driver back to a level that I'm enjoying hitting driver as much as
Hmm.
possible. And it's not like I'm like shying away from it. I know I have to hit it hard to get the production out of it that I want, and I enjoy that. I'll probably honestly want to try it out with a wood or something like that. But the Tensei Blue 1K, I have the 1K Blue in both
Mm-hmm.
my 3 wood and my hybrid, my 3 hybrid, which is 3 wood's 15 degrees, hybrid is 19 degrees. So it pretty much plays like a 5 wood for me. But,
Right.
easy to hit off the tee, easy to hit off the fairway and stuff like that. So really enjoying the Tensei Blue. It's a mid launch, mid spin. And I feel like like again, since I'm zeroing out with the 15-degree and a 19-degree, it launches in a tunnel that I enjoy. It's not too high, it's not too low, and then if I really get a hold of it, it's flying straight through the wind, even if it is a little bit higher off a launch. But yeah,
Yeah.
hazardous black has really done me great. And then I even went kind of psycho. I went 70 gram X stiff, tipped an inch to make it even a little bit more boardier for me off the tee. So I really have to swing hard. So, it's making me get up into the 105s, 110s as far as club head speed with my driver, which I need to do
Hmm.
anyways. I need to swing harder.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Cool. Thank you for that. Um, take this down. Got a few questions that I thought we were gonna have a really slow week. We actually didn't, so I might save these. But since we were talking about it coming into the show, our pregame, I, am going to preface this and then I'm going to pivot and ask you a very specific question that's to your situation. So I have found in social media, like golf, like last week, I got connected to a couple of guys that were here in Bangkok. They're ex-military guys. They travel around the world pretty much like 9 to 10 months out of the year. We connected one round of golf turned into three. Had a really good time through a third party connection. Really good dudes, and it just you instantly feel this level of community interacting with people, especially playing golf, right? But that back end of golf isn't always so pleasurable. So for people who are new to us, Marcus is in the golf industry. Has been working in the golf industry in different ways. He was a fitter at one point in time, and then transitioned to a golf course. Currently an outside services manager. So dealing with the guys with carts and all the stuff that happens outside of the clubhouse, but you also work inside the clubhouse as well, checking people in and out. Despite all the many good things about golf, what's something like or a couple of things that you regret or wish that you could that are changeable, but that you would love to change about golf industry and working in the golf industry?
Um, that's that's kind of like a fluid question. I feel like you know you got to give and take with it. I feel like it's more overall. I feel like from my avenue, I feel like I wish the golf game in general was more welcoming, just in the aspect of wanting to get more people involved in the game. And we've talked about that before and, different aspects and stuff like that. But that's another avenue because it's kind of like, they took a chance on me at the course I'm at now, and I'm forever grateful. But as you've known and as we've talked about in the show, I'm very educated as it comes to the game of golf. I'm the tism in me has really kind of like made me delve deep into it. So like as far as like the niche things of a niche sport, like golf shafts and the descriptions and the mannerisms and characteristics of things like that, I enjoy. So like it's nothing for me to look up a golf shaft and see what the properties are of it so that if somebody asks me about it or if I see it and come across of it, I can be like, oh, Steph, I saw something about that. I was reading up on that. Does it truly do such and such? So stuff like that, I really still enjoy. But there are aspects where it's kind of like it feels definitely still in 2025 very exclusionary in some parts. But also it's I feel like we need to do a better job of welcoming people in where they are, but also trying to wrangle them in. It's a
Hmm.
gentleman's game and stuff like that, but there is places of fun and things you can do to make the game more fun and entertainable and enjoyable and things like that. But things like attire to me, I'm very traditional about attire. I still think we need polos in the game. I'm not for going to the golf course in t-shirts and in sweats and stuff like that. I feel like that's probably some of the stuff that I feel like is just a weird part of me. Like that's the niche part of
Yeah,
me where it's like, but like
I
that's
agree.
also
I agree. I
but
agree
that's
there.
also
I
why I
mean, I get it.
said yeah, but that's like also why I said we need to meet people where they are. So like that's why I feel like the driving range needs to be more welcoming. The driving range needs to be set up for success. We need more of that in America. We don't have a lot of like we've talked about that. I think in the last like 2, 3 weeks we've talked about this.
Yeah,
Driving ranges everywhere but in America have professional teaching pros at the driving range. They have a driving range. They don't have a course, just a driving range. You go
yeah.
there, you bang balls. They have a nice little facility. They have a putting green or a putting facility as well. But they also have teaching pros there. Okay, teaching pro, you gonna be in your ones and twos, but you can still be teaching somebody in the sweats, in the t-shirts, get them up to par, get them up to speed, and then hey, like
Ready
once
to
you
hit the
feel
course. Yeah.
right, once you feel comfortable getting out to the course, I need you to be in this. I need you to wear this. Don't nobody need you to be in plus fours and some knickers and the Payne Stewart hat. But like,
Yeah,
bro, don't embarrass
I think
yourself.
this
Essentially,
I think this comes up for me because we were talking. Maybe this is probably offline. Is that quite a few of the courses that I've played here overseas have said, okay, you can pretty much like anybody can play the white tees if that's what you choose to, um, engage in. There's pretty much like blue, white, red. You don't see a ton of tee box options here, but to play in the back, you have to be single digits and you have to be able to prove that your handicap is what you say it is, right? So officially tracking it somewhere. And so, we've talked about Germany. It requires some kind of like a qualification test and
yeah,
licensing to be able to play golf. And I do think that, yeah, in America, it's very culturally centered around golf is centered around the entertainment aspect of it, right? Everywhere else I go, it seems to be very much around the competition and playing well. It's a lot more serious. There's a lot more betting going on courses. I mean, you just think about outside of America, handful of experiences in the US include a caddy. And then when you have a caddy, that caddy is like shared amongst the group. We experienced that at TPC. Very unique, very specific. I've even been to a couple of TPC courses where there is no caddy. This is for a $200+ round versus in Asia, every round you're going to have a caddy. It is required. And now the level of assistance that you get with that during your round, whether they kind of get to know your game. Like I played with one the other day who was very much like asking me a bunch of questions around my game, and you could tell she was trying to adjust to my yardages and get it, adapted to my game. She's like, "What are you going to play in this situation?" So I said, "Around the greens, typically I'm going to use a 58." And then there was one circumstance where I was a little bit further into a bunker where I really needed a 54. And she could tell she was like so disappointed that she wasn't ready. But again, I think the tone of the game is very different outside of the US. So it's like matching up the US need to be entertained at every turn with the actual skill of the game. So I agree when talking about ranges is that there's a way to both teach the game and keep it entertaining in a range setting. I think when you have a course next to a range, there's always that it's hastiness to get out and actually just go play the
it's an
game, right?
edge.
Because that yeah, because it's fun. I mean, it is fun to be out on the course. And then, very much like the drinking aspect of it is super heavy in the US, right? With cart girls. That's something that honestly absolutely does not exist. Now, there are stops along the courses in Asia, but you're not having somebody running around holding up the game. So that's the one thing that I've also noticed the difference of is the kind of shacks along the course move things a lot faster than the cart young lady and the time that it takes when a group's right behind you. It just seems like it's more strategically thought out than just a rando running around because you have some cart girls that they kind of know the game and pull up at a tee box when everybody's going to be waiting, especially like a par three or something. And so they linger, or those inexperienced cart girls that are all over the course and catching people in the middle of a fairway, which is so inefficient, particularly for the group that's behind you. So it's very different, and it's been eye opening to see the difference in golf culture around the world versus strictly just U.S. based. What else about the golf industry would you like the inside baseball part of it? I don't want I want you to keep your job, and I know you appreciate your job, but like course politics and like what's something that you wish you could snap your fingers and change about the internal side of working at a golf course?
Um, like, and I know course. So I mean, I feel like this has happened, and luckily, I feel like this happens at a lot of different courses that aren't private golf courses with heavily dependent upon members and stuff like that. I feel like the etiquette of the pro shop and the procedural aspects of it could be a lot more black and white instead of gray area. I feel like that's everywhere. I mean, I feel like that's Well, it depends. Well, some days it's like this, and some days it's like that. Feel like I feel like Monday through Sunday it should be a certain way. The only thing that
Yeah.
should be changing is the rate of golf, the rate of the cost of a golf round, and that's the regular rate, the weekday rate, and the weekend rate, and
Yeah.
twilight, super twilight. That's all gonna be wrapped into it, but always um the literally and on the tip of my tongue, the privilege involved in golf. It's
Okay.
just insane, bro. It's just insane. And again, thankfully for me, it's everywhere you go, especially in the city of Houston, because it's a lot of people that think they have money. It's a lot of people that once they hear prices, then all of a sudden they want to be, they want to be cheap, they want to be petty and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if we hold ourselves within a certain regards, especially comparable to courses, in the same city as us, then yeah, we're going to charge a certain amount of a certain amount for that. Some courses that feel like they're on our level, don't always have the same amenities as us, don't have the same practice facilities as us, don't have cart girls that are, that have IQ enough to know where to stop, when to stop, a bar and grill where you can literally go practice, go putt, and then just come to the grill. You don't have to go to the pro shop. You can literally circumvent the golf side of things if you have your own equipment and just go and have
Yeah.
a good time practicing. Then come on down, grab you a drink at the bar, grab you some good things at the grill. Like, I feel like some of these courses don't always have those, amenities, but still want to charge you a
Yeah.
certain amount or still
Oh yeah.
feel like they need to hold you to a certain regard. And it's like, I don't think it should be that way. Like I said, I feel
So
like,
I,
again, it should be, go ahead.
yeah. Now I was gonna say I've been spoiled. So particularly, I'm gonna say this is universal for Asia because I saw it in Vietnam and I saw it and I'm seeing it consistently in Bangkok. Like when you're talking about the differences between the courses, like never again while I'm over here will I pull up and see a double wide trailer as a clubhouse. That just does not exist here. You
Yeah.
see these nice, well established clubhouses that it's an event. Everyone has a full service restaurant and bar, outside indoor seating. Every course, again, I mentioned, is going to have caddies. Most of these courses have on course snack bars, and I mean they're really nice. Where you walk in, they're ACs. It's like a mini restaurant, but it's quick and fast, and they're ready to go and serve you in and out. Um, Cash is the preferred method of payment, so things move a lot faster in terms of the payment side. So to wait on a credit card machine that may or may not connect to the internet, it
Yeah.
is consistently good. And so I have no problem consistently paying near or just over $100 for all of these things for a round because I know I'm getting the value. I don't feel like when I'm paying that, I'm getting gypped. Now a lot of more people walk over here too. So if I've played the course, I will walk it if I feel like it's very walkable. Even with the humidity, most people play early in the morning here. So somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock, it's doable. And most of the tracks are set up to be walked, where tee to green are pretty simple and right next to each other. So from a consistency standpoint, in the US, you don't know what you're going to show up to from course to course and the amenities. So that whole thing about like the status or you charging what somebody else is charging just because you feel like that, it doesn't exist over here. It's all good.
Yeah.
All the conditions of the courses are good. I haven't been on one where the greens were trash. Played one in Vietnam where the greens had just been punched and sanded, and other than just not getting be able to get check on the ball on a chip, the greens were great. I mean, so even at their worst, these are well conditioned golf courses. However, in the US, you could show up and they punched 3, 4 weeks ago and didn't use enough sand, so it's still bumpy as hell. So the conditions are so, again, it's all about status, right? In the US, like, oh, this
Yeah.
tier, that tier. I've seen a lot more kind of just equality in the quality of courses and what they offer. Simple stuff to me makes a difference. Being able to take a shower after every round and not going home in funky wet clothes doesn't exist. Every course that I've been to, you get a shower, you get a towel, you get a locker during your round. It's mandatory. That is just not the case. Again, there's no double wide trailers here. You're gonna get all the amenities in a round. So that's one thing that's a very valid complaint that you brought up because elsewhere it's just not the same. So
Yeah, I think
anyway,
also, I mean, also, like as far as consistency and stuff like that, feel like again, we just live in too much of a capitalistic world in America, as we always talk about, because you have situations. Sorry to call them out, but you have situations like Buffalo Creek, where great facilities, great practice facilities, great track setup, everything is great, but then they are too prideful to give you more of a discount for what you would deserve for literally lackluster greens that we played on.
mm-hmm.
Rod had a chance to play on the course since they redid their greens. But when you're a golf club and you have memberships, you should be a little bit more prideful. There's nothing wrong with you shutting down the course. Hey, I'm gonna give you a little bit of break. I mean, these people are so predatory nowadays where you act like you're still not making the utmost profit from these courses, from these houses that stay on the course. You can shut
Right.
down for a month and let these greens heal, reside a few, make sure you're watering the other greens, or do yourself a favor,
Discount it.
make
Yeah.
the discount it the actual rate, not just you charging 85 normally and you take $10 off of it. $10 off of dirt greens, that's not enough.
Right. Right. Yeah,
That's
you'll
not
make it
enough.
back in quality. And you'll make it
Make
back eventually through the conditions and word of mouth. So yeah.
Exactly. Think about your rep. You want to have status that's involved in that. Because when we punch and we let you know with verification notice on Golf Now, if you book online, our website also has a notification that we verified. You call in, we let you know before you book the tee time. Hey, just a heads up, the greens have been punched. Yes, we reduced the rates, but just letting you know it now. Kind of sandy, a little bit rough, but more than not, they are
Right.
playable for the game that you have. They will be worth the amount that we're charging. It's not we're taking $10 off of 105. We're taking, the rate goes from 115 to under $100 because that is what it is worth. Like that is the things that kills me because there are people that punch greens and then you still are paying the full route, the full amount of the tee time and not even letting you know until day of
Right.
you're walking in
You're
checking in for the
checking
tee
in,
time.
right?
I
Oh,
mean, it's a perfect Saint Andre golf situation. They memed it
yeah.
perfectly, but it is literally that to a T. There are some places
And
that you'll go where it is like that.
and they have our information. They have our email. They have our number to text us and let us know. Like, hey, it's nothing to send out a mass text to people you have on the T sheet for that day. Hey, this is a
Right.
situation for the next few weeks with the greens. But anyway, I'll save our other topics. We got to an hour and 30 with just the basics. So we'll save those. Even though we're in the slow season, we'll have a couple weeks where we can talk about a few of our other subjects. I did have a non golf thing that popped into my notifications yesterday, and I just wanted to get your take on it. Crazy. We're the NBA. We know we're about to kick off the season. Um, Kevin Durant gets a 2-year, $90 million extension with a third-year player option, which I'm assuming is going to be for the another 45 million. Bro, I want to say like legitimately amongst football, basketball, golf now, and baseball, football players are the only players that don't get enough money to me. Everybody else is overpaid, and there is no way that they are getting the return on investment. $90 million for Kevin Durant at this old age that he is currently, he doesn't produce. He doesn't stay healthy enough for this man to be possibly able to earn 135 million over the next 3 years. Crazy to me. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, unfortunately, every sport but football is ceiling based. It's what is your capability? What could you possibly do for me? Where could you possibly lead me to? What can the future bring to me? The game of football is such a physical specimen of a game that it is literally so demanding and grueling that you could be out like prime example um Dolphins baby daddy king, the dude with like 8 kids already. He's like 25.
The receiver.
Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill um 25 $30 million man a year, and broke his leg in like the third week of the season. Their season is wasted. He's out for the entire rest of the year. Who knows if he comes back completely healed and ready for the next year? It is what you can do now, and then it is incentive based on top of that. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is just how it is. But I mean, also they have the most predatory owners in the game. I mean, that's
This is
why
true.
a lot of their stuff. I mean, you talk about revenue sharing and stuff like that. Their president of the players union isn't nearly aggressive enough, as is the MLB players union, as is the NBA's player union. They speak out
Yeah.
and they'll go in a shutdown. NFL ain't shutting down. When is the last time has the NFL ever shut down? The NBA
It's
done
been a
shut
while.
down.
It's
You
it's
know what I'm
it's
saying?
been a while. And the
You
NFL is the one that actually
should.
produces, like even on a down year, they're gonna hit their numbers, right? And most of the
Right.
time they're exceeding. It's like it's the juggernaut. It really is,
Yeah.
where they've had scandal after controversy and people still tune in. And yeah, there's some weird components to why people tune into it and the viewership versus who actually plays the game. But they deliver the goods. They deliver the revenue. Stadiums are packed, even for bad teams. It's kind of like why I couldn't do it anymore with the Cowboys. So I'm like, dude, you're putting out a trash product intentionally because you know that it doesn't affect your bottom line. The value of the Dallas Cowboys has grown exponentially without them having a successful football team in the last 30 years. That's crazy to me. And the players just do not get enough of that pot when we know that they can easily afford it. The values of the teams continue to go up while the players, I mean, not saying that they're hurting, but given their share of the revenue pie, it's just not what, people get in the NBA. Again, Kevin Durant, 45 million for this year, and he's probably going to play probably 40, 50 games. I don't know, bro.
Why do you think he's only gonna play 40, 50 games?
Because he stays hurt, bro. He stays hurt. He's since the Achilles injury in Golden State, his games played per year is pretty bad. So we'll see, bro. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be on a resurgence. The strip club scene in Houston could revitalize him as it did James Harden when he was there. Who knows? But
What?
I mean, guys get to Houston and get out there in that nightlife and they get rejuvenated. That's when prime James Harden was killing it. So maybe we see a revitalization of Durant during that time. But I just found that number with him having the third year option kind of nuts at this stage of his career. He'll be damn near 40 by that point.
The
I'm
strip
looking at
club
that.
scene is what's revitalizing? No,
Yes. Yes, the
no,
nightlife. The nightlife. The nightlife.
no,
Yes.
no.
Kevin Durant is 37 this year. Anyway, bro, we'll see. We'll see when those pictures come out. You know, the blog scene in Houston's pretty heavy, so we'll see what happens with that man. Just cut that look of disappointment off your face. Anyway, all right, y'all. Bearder Bros Golf Show. We have gone very long today. Appreciate you joining us. I am Rod,
And I'm Marcus.
and we'll catch y'all next week.